Today's video is about a book review for a book that I haven't purchased, nor do I plan to purchase, and I haven't read it yet. So stay tuned to find out how I can make a video about a book that I haven't read, or why would I do something like that? Okay, that was my thumbnail. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ya halan wa sahlan. Marhaban bikum min jadid. Hello and welcome back to my channel if you have been here, and welcome to my channel if you are new here. I am a stay-at-home mom. I make homeschool related videos, cooking related videos, and book reviews, and just some here and there in between. Just basically, this is our journey through our homeschooling life. I keep looking down because I have my notes down here, but pardon that. I'm at home right now. My children are at home right now, so basically if you hear any background noises, it's probably them, which is totally normal in our household. So anyway, today I wanted to go over some of my reasons why I am not planning on purchasing Edward Snowden's new book, Permanent Record. Okay, I understand it's like the hottest thing on the market right now, but I have to explain to you all. This is so, oh my gosh, how do I get started? So first of all, okay, so my history with reading books on conspiracy theories or government theories or the government spying on you and things like that, it sort of happened, I want to say out of nowhere, but I was a bit intrigued by it. I've always been the type of person who is inquisitive, or just, I'm always asking questions, want to know what's going on, or just curious. I just, you know what, I'd like to learn about everything sometimes. Yeah, not too much information, but yeah. You get me. So what ended up happening, this was my second trip to the Lahore campus because I was studying in the International Quranic Open University, and I had gone the previous year, in the year 2000, and then went back home so I could complete, or finish studying for high school or complete my high school studies. And the following year, I was actually still in high school, but I went over the summer to the Lahore campus in Pakistan. So while I was there were books upon books upon books in the library. So basically my sheikh has an open university, so it's called International Quranic Open University, right? So I was studying there, and I became really intrigued with, lots of the things that I saw. So I would ask questions about, like, what is this, or what's that, or, I just wanted to know basically everything about everything. So he, I want to say, received my questions. Like, he was really happy about it, so he gave me access to his library. In his library, I discovered a book called Behold a Pale Horse, written by Bill Cooper, or, well, the late William Cooper wrote a book called Behold the Pale Horse, or Behold a Pale Horse, I'm sorry. And it's a very interesting read if you haven't read it yet. So basically, he was a former CIA agent, or he worked for the government, and he started seeing some things, namely aliens and things like that, and discovering things when he was working in certain areas. And he started to delve into that, and basically he was ousted, or he was basically, they started looking at him like he was a spy, or they were mistreating him because he was discovering things. He had questions that they didn't want to answer. And the more he dug into it, the more he became like a conspiracy theorist, and he wanted to know more about aliens. He wanted to know why the government wasn't telling anyone about aliens, and what's going on. He witnessed some things himself, spaceships coming out of water, etc., right? So at that time, he was actually still alive when I started reading that book, and it was really, like, intriguing. I was holding on to it, and even though my sheikh was like, reading books, it opens your mind, and it takes you to places that you may have not been able to travel, physically or whatever in the world. and you get to learn about things in the past and this and that, and, you know, read more books. And, you know, there are lots of great books out there, but these books were like based on the truth, so I was more interested in conspiracy theory type of books because like it was what we were currently living in, or the time we were currently living in. It applied even though it was written like years before. For example, the movie The Net with Sandra Bullock. That movie was like in 94, 95. It was put out in 95, but it seriously applies to the world that we live in today. If you haven't seen it yet, I'd check it out. But I haven't seen it in years, so I would err on the side of caution. It may have some, I don't remember if it has profanity, vulgarities, or rated R scenes. I don't really remember. I did see it years ago. So, back to what I was saying. That's why I have these notes here, so that I don't get too far off of my topic here. So basically, excuse me, basically, I got into that book, Behold a Pale Horse, and initially it will make you paranoid to think that the government is spying on you or things like that, and then it's kind of like, you know, you're intrigued because it sounds so believable, but you've never seen an alien, but at the same time, being a spiritual person or a religious person or someone who's in tune with the spiritual side, you also know that these things exist. You know that there are worlds that exist. You know that there are atmospheres and layers and levels, and you know there are different axles, and just you know that it's out there, although you can't physically see it with your eye unless you're looking at a picture or a painting or something along those lines. Anyway, where was I? Basically, when Mr. Cooper was talking about all of these theories that are out there and what he actually saw, and at one point he even said something, I'm going to try to insert his quote, but he said something about how the government wants to kill him and they'd have to do it in a certain way in order to take him out. And that's basically, he sort of manifested his own way of dying or getting killed because, you know, he was so close to the truth that they took him out, basically.
While I don't really want to be a martyr, if that's what history chooses for me to be, then I will be that martyr. But our enemies are not stupid. They try to come at you in a way that will demonize you in the eyes of the American public, or the public of the world, so that whatever they do will seem to be legitimate. But my knowledge of the law has stymied them in that respect, because I've challenged them on every issue and they have defaulted. And so they're betting that some local sheriff's deputy or local police officer is going to arrest me, in which case, if they attempt that, I'll have to shoot them. Or they'll have to shoot me. And that's what the federal government is counting on.
So then, fast forward, where am I? So Edward Snowden's book. Basically, the year that I was reading that book about Behold a Pale Horse, which is a verse, he named it after a verse taken from the Bible, but the year that I was reading that book was around the same time that Edward Snowden was dropping out of high school. And I mean, no shade intended, I don't mean it like that, but it was around the same time when I picked this book up and started reading it that he was actually dropping out of high school. And I was really intrigued at that time in learning more about how the CIA and the government and how it works, or how all the CCTV that's out there and the cameras and everything that's watching you and watching you and watching you and watching you. I was already overwhelmed with that when, like I said, Edward Snowden hadn't even graduated just yet. And like I said, no shade intended, but this is the only way I can think right now to relate to what was going on with him in this world and me in this world, you know what I mean, in our own heads or whatever, in our own lives. But this is, yeah. So anyway, what ended up happening is I had already been through that conspiracy theory book. I had already read or heard about Ginny beings and things like that, and I believe that they do exist, like the stories from the X-Files, the stories that they write in the X-Files, the movie. Well, it's not a movie, but it's like a TV series. And I know that those stories are true. They just make them in a way that it's almost watered down so that you can become numb to it. It'll become like the new normal, if you know what I mean. So, how do I put this? So while learning about that sort of thing, I knew it was out of my control as far as someone watching me without my permission, or cameras being everywhere or watching you, or, you know, people panicking and, you know, trying to basically figure out how to regain control of their own lives, because so many people were becoming aware that we're being watched by cameras everywhere. You can't even, like, between the satellite dish all the way to the camera on the corner store of the gas station, you know, you can't control how many cameras or how many recordings are being watched, or how often you are being watched by Big Brother, so to speak, right? So by that time, I had already tried to figure out, you know, well, what can I do with my own life that so that this won't have such a horrible effect on me, where I'm not paranoid to go to the store, you know what I mean, or go to the park if I feel like I'm being watched, right? So the reason why I just can't bring myself to buy Edward Snowden's book is because, honestly, I think it's more of a, you know, kind of a, it's a way to bring him money. Yes, obviously. He wants to sell the book to gain money, although he's saying he's just trying to help people out with this information. He could have written a blog and posted it there, and that's it. But now, you know, he's trying to sell the book. They banned him, or tried to ban him, but because of our Second Amendment, they can't ban him from selling his book, basically. But the thing is, in this book, he said, I'll put it this way, he doesn't deny that man walked on the moon.
July 16, 1969, Apollo 11 blasted off from the Kennedy Space Center, carrying 3 astronauts on its perilous journey to the moon. 5 days later, as the world watched with bated breath, astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first men to walk on the moon. But not everyone is convinced that this historic journey actually happened. Over the past 40 years, numerous theories have called into question the photographic evidence that has captivated the world.
And you hear about the fact that the landing was actually done in a television studio.
And there was the big black background with, like, you know, fake stars and stuff.
It's the flag being planted on the moon facing one way, and the shadow of the man being the other way.
I mean, I've heard that maybe the terrain that was seen on the video wasn't accurate, the walking wasn't accurate.
There are no stars in some of the photographs, and that there should be because there was no atmosphere and that the stars would shine so brightly.
This clip that's coming up, listen to what astronaut Pettit says.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I believe that the reason Snowden is claiming that man walked on the moon is because right now he's in Russia. If the Russians haven't blown the whistle, he better not blow the whistle and say that a man never walked on the moon or whatever, because he's going to be in a lot of trouble no matter where he goes now, because Russia is so-called giving him asylum, but Russia is also not blowing the whistle on the fact that man never walked on the moon. So Snowden better not say anything against that. If they have kept quiet for all these years, then Snowden better be quiet too. You have people who put tape over their, they put tape over the little camera on their laptop and tape over the sides, you know, on the microphones on their laptops and things like that. But here's one thing or one way that you can go about your life without panicking or feeling like you are being watched constantly or anything like that. And that is really, I mean, in all realness, husnul khuluq. You have to have the best of conduct, which is an attribute of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had the best of conduct. So whether he was caught on a CCTV camera or whether he was, you know, accidentally recorded on someone's phone or just, you know, caught in the background on someone's image. For example, like if he was caught on camera, if he was here today, 2019, and caught on camera, his mannerism would be impeccable, you know? He had the best of character when it came to almost everything, like his moral conduct, you know, his, the way he walked, the way he spoke, the way his actions, just his character was such a way that people tried to emulate that, or they, you know, they wanted to be the same way. They wanted to walk the way he walked. They wanted to talk the way he talked, or speak with the elegance and the eloquence that he used. So no matter what, if you're getting caught on camera, there's a saying like, don't get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, for example. You conduct yourself in a manner in which no one can use it against you. You know what I mean? No one can actually say, this person was caught doing X, Y, and Z on camera, this and that and the third. Just follow the way of the Holy Last Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his mannerism, in his adab, his way of life, his husnul khuluq, you know, his beautiful conduct. He was Qur'ani natiq, you know, he was the living, walking, talking Holy Quran, as in he practiced what was ordained in the Quran, and that became the Sunnah, his way of life. And we are to try and emulate that as well, or we are to try and become the same graceful, loving, caring type of people who can stand up for themselves, but also carry yourself in a way that is not off-putting for people to speak to you or approach you. And if you happen to be caught on camera doing something, make it be something that you would not mind being replayed back, because ultimately what we as Muslims believe in the first place is that we're always being watched by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, let me know, and I will do some more book reviews inshallah soon. I do have a few TBRs, and I have some children's books that I need to review as well. And I will see you all in the next video, inshallah.
Never forget it about you, Lord, that He be the one that's keeping an eye on you.